All right, let's dive right into this explainer. If you've ever felt that soul-crushing frustration of customers constantly haggling with you, or if you feel like you're always having to defend and justify your prices, you are definitely in the right place. Today we're unpacking a truly fascinating breakdown of consumer psychology and retail strategy. We're going to figure out exactly why price objections happen in the first place, and more importantly, we'll walk through the specific, structured steps you can take to literally eliminate them completely.
Why on earth are we willing to pay 1,000 lira instead of just 10 lira for the exact same coffee bean? Seriously, think about it. It perfectly frames a completely wild anomaly in consumer psychology. We are talking about the exact same physical product, the identical bean. Yet in one scenario, a customer happily forks over 100 times more cash without batting an eye. So how does that actually happen? What's the invisible architecture of value that makes us completely ignore the base cost of a product?
To answer that, we first have to figure out where we're going wrong. Section 1. Why price haggling starts, or the absolute pain point of retail. Picture your own store for a second. Let's say you're selling high-ticket items, maybe furniture, and you don't really have a story to tell. Well, price automatically becomes your only battleground. Furniture is a great example, right? People are often spending a month's or even a year's salary on a single couch or dining set. They're nervous. They really want to make the right choice. So if your brand is lacking content, atmosphere, or a distinct value proposition, your customers are naturally going to default to negotiating the cost. You've essentially invited them to fight you on price because, well, you haven't given them anything else to evaluate.
Moving on to Section 2, the coffee's 100x value journey, the paradigm shift. Let's literally trace the journey of a single coffee bean, traveling all the way from Brazil to Europe to see how value is just beautifully and entirely artificially constructed. This is essentially your blueprint for perceived value. It starts at the bare minimum, the base physical commodity, the product. Then you layer on service. Above that is status. And at the absolute pinnacle, the top of the mountain, you have the experience. Let's see how the price explodes across these 4 tiers.
You grab a bag of coffee at the supermarket. It breaks down to about 10 lira a cup. No one argues with the cashier. You know the brand did the heavy lifting of importing and roasting it. Okay, now add the service of a friendly waiter in a cafe brewing it for you. Boom, you happily pay 100 lira. Move that exact same cup to a luxury hotel with sparkling chandeliers, high-end decor, and an elite crowd. The acceptable price jumps exponentially to 400 lira. And notice this, at 400 lira, literally nobody is grabbing the waiter by the collar, demanding to know why it's cheaper at the grocery store.
And then you hit the pinnacle. You're sitting in Venice's St. Mark's Square at sunset. Gondolas floating by, violins playing in the background, and you are paying a staggering 1,000 lira for that exact same coffee bean just to snap a selfie. At this point, you're not buying coffee anymore. You are buying a memory. You're buying a story to tell your friends. The physical product has just become a prop in the grand experience you're purchasing.
Which brings us to Section 3, you cannot sell to everyone, the brutal truth of target audiences.
Okay, we need to pivot and look at your business right now. To replicate that crazy coffee bean success, you have to definitively choose which of those 4 tiers you actually operate in. Are you selling the 10 lira product, the 100 lira service, the 400 lira status, or the 1,000 lira experience? As the source material points out, claiming to appeal to everyone is absolutely the most baseless, wrong thing a company can do. If you try to target everyone, you end up targeting no one. You can't run around claiming to sell a premium experience, but then price and operate your store like a basic product vendor. It just doesn't work.
Because here's the deal. If a customer walks in expecting an experience, but they encounter, terrible service, they figure it out instantly. The price suddenly feels completely unjustified. Say you price your items like that luxury hotel, but your store is a mess and your staff is ignoring people. The human brain detects that inconsistency in a heartbeat. They feel cheated, and guess what? That is exactly when they start demanding discounts.
Let's move to Section 4, the power of the first 3 seconds. Human brain categorization.
So, let's talk execution. Just how fast do customers judge your value tier? The answer is shockingly fast. The human brain needs incredibly quick reflexes just to survive, meaning it takes a mere 3 seconds for a customer to categorize your store and subconsciously assign an expected price point to your stuff. 3 seconds. Literally before you even have a chance to say hello, their brain has already calculated whether they're standing in a discount warehouse or a premium boutique.
In those vital make-or-break 3 seconds, their brain is rapidly scanning environmental cues.
They're looking at your lighting, the decor, how neat the layout is, whether your staff is paying attention, and if the products actually look like they belong in a real living room. If those things are completely disorganized, customers aren't going to walk up to you and verbally critique your architecture. No, they'll just look at the price tag, decide it's way too expensive, and either walk out the door or start intensely haggling.
All right, Section 5. F1 Pit Stop Speed. The standard of excellence.
To make absolutely sure those first 3 seconds hit perfectly every single time, consider how a chaotic, hours-long process gets transformed into a lightning-fast reflex. Back in the early days of racing, a pit stop took nearly 3 hours. Today, it takes 2.4 seconds. Everyone on that 20-person F1 team has exactly one highly specialized job, and they execute it flawlessly without speaking a single word.
Your retail team needs a completely dialed-in practice scenario. When a customer walks in, anticipating their needs shouldn't be a chaotic scramble. It should be an automatic reflex. Just like that F1 pit crew or a top-tier soccer goalie reacting to a shot, your staff should intuitively know exactly when to approach, what to suggest, and how to seamlessly guide the customer. That doesn't happen by accident. It requires a written script, constant practice, and stripping away all the unnecessary steps.
Finally, let's hit Section 6, the multiplier effect of perfect service, the stakes of getting it right.
There's an incredibly powerful analogy from the source material. Service is like a narcotic. When your choreographed service is predictable and just absolutely excellent, the customer drops that defensive, price-haggling shield. They completely trust you. They sink right into the experience and let you take the wheel. If they're constantly having to chase your staff down for help, it turns into a stressful battle. But perfect service, it totally soothes them into a state of buying readiness.
And the math on this is totally unforgiving. When you nail it and give perfect service, they might tell 1 to 3 friends, creating this really nice quiet loyalty. But when you give bad service, when you promise a 1,000 lira experience but deliver a 10 lira reality, oh man, they tell 10 or more people and they drop brutal 1-star reviews online for the entire world to see.
So I want to leave you with a quick audit for your own business today. Evaluate your daily routines. Fix your store's first 3 seconds. Master whatever tier you're playing in, choreograph your service, and just watch those price objections disappear. Ask yourself right now, are you just selling bags of coffee beans, or are you selling sunset gondola rides in Venice?